Détente, a policy of reducing Cold War tensions that was adopted by the United States during the presidency of Richard Nixon. OPEC, an organization of countries formed in 1961 to agree on a common policy for the production and sale of petroleum. Liberal, open to new behavior or opinions and willing to discard traditional values. Conservative, a person who believes government power, particularly in the economy, should be limited in order to maximize individual freedom. Reaganomics, the federal economic policies of the Reagan administration elected in 1981. These policies combined a monetarist fiscal policy, supply-side tax cuts, and domestic budget cutting. Their goal was to reduce the size of the federal government and stimulate economic growth. Star Wars, a program to protect the United States against attack by enemy missiles proposed in 1983 by President Ronald Reagan but never implemented, formally known as a Strategic Defense Initiative. MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Driving. Perestroika, a policy initiated by Mikhail Gorbachev that involved restructuring of the social and economic status quo in communist Russia towards a market-based economy and society. Glasnost, a policy of Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev which called for more openness with the nations of West and a relaxing of restraints on Soviet citizenry. Brady Bill, law passed in 1993 requiring a waiting period on sales of handguns along with a criminal background check on the buyer. Perjury, lying under oath. Ethnic cleansing, the mass expulsion or killing of members of an unwanted ethnic or religious group in a society. NAFTA, North American Free Trade Agreement, allows open trade with US, Mexico, and Canada. European, a person who comes from the continent of Europe. WTO, the initials of the international body established in 1995 to foster and bring order to international trade. Nuclear proliferation, the spread of nuclear weapons production technology and knowledge to nations without that capability. Global warming, an increase in the average temperature of the Earth's atmosphere. Strategic defense, a plan to develop missiles and other devices that can shoot down nuclear missiles before they hit the United States. Al-Qaeda, a network of Islamic terrorist organizations led by Osama bin Laden that carried out the attacks on the U.S. embassies in Tanzania and Kenya in 1998, the USS Cole in Yemen in 2000, and the World Trade Center in the Pentagon in 2001. WMD, weapons of mass destruction. ISIL-ISIS, a violent Sunni extremist organization that has expanded its influence in Iraq, Syria, and elsewhere as it attempts to create a new religious state in the region. Axis of Evil, created in 2002 by George W. Bush to show the bad guys, which include Iran, Iraq, and Korea. Operation Enduring Freedom, President George W. Bush, the United States and its allies invade the country of Afghanistan in order to remove the Taliban from power after the 9/11 attacks. Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act, healthcare reform law passed in 2010 that includes incentives and penalties for employers providing health insurance as a benefit. Pentagon Papers, a 7,000-page top-secret United States government report on the history of the internal planning and policy-making process within the government itself concerning the Vietnam War. War Powers Act of 1973 gave any president the power to go to war under certain circumstances but required that he could only do so for 90 days before being required to officially bring the matter before Congress.